Welcome back to Sustainability Stories podcast. I'm your host, Radhika Arappally. Today, I'm speaking to Sebastien Mariette, who is the Area General Manager for Levant and KSA with Kempinski Hotels. Now, Kempinski is a stunning brand, iconic luxury, and I can't wait to hear how an experienced general manager, Sebastien, has been championing sustainability in Middle East, in Jordan, and also what challenges and opportunities can you share with us today? So, with that said, I'm going to turn over to Sebastien. Thank you for joining us today, and please introduce yourself so we hear your wonderful experience and what's brought you to Middle East.
Hello, Radhika. Pleasure speaking with you this afternoon. Good afternoon. So my name is Sebastien, as you say, and as you can probably hear, I'm French. So definitely this is this little accent you can hear in the background. So I'm working for Kempinski since 17 years, amazing company, traveled the world, worked in Africa, worked in China, joined the Middle East a couple of years back, was already in Jordan from 2014 to 2018, then came to Dubai, then after Dubai, Singapore, Cairo, and back in Jordan over the last few years. So definitely quite a lot over the last few years, and now championing sustainability here at the Kempinski Hotel Ishtar Dead Sea.
Wonderful. And what is sustainability to you?
Sustainability for me is a way of thinking. It's not only greenwashing and, doing like the top 10 things you have to do at the beginning of the month to say, definitely I'm a green hotel. I think it's a philosophy, something that you have to apply on a daily basis, that you have to do when you deal with your staff, when you deal with your team, when you deal with your guests. And you have to wake up in the morning saying, okay, what I can do today in order to be more sustainable, in order to protect the environment, in order to look after my local community.
How is Jordan in terms of supporting you on the sustainability journey? I don't think we've spoken to anyone from Jordan before, so I'm really curious to hear how the governments, the regulations are supporting you on this endeavor.
I have to say that Jordan over the last few years has developed quite well. I remember I came here in 2014, they were throwing paper and plastic by throwing the paper from the right window of the car and throwing the plastic through the left one. So definitely this is how Jordan used to be. But I have to say over the years, they definitely worked a lot on sustainability, on looking after their waste management, on looking at how to save water and electricity, because don't forget that Jordan is a country which has a lot to offer in terms of tourism, but definitely not much to offer in terms of resources. So definitely they have to look after their resources. This is vital for a country like Jordan. And I'm pretty happy to say that, Jordan has been ranked among the top country in Middle East and Africa when it comes to sustainable tourism. If you look at the Euromonitor International top countries for sustainable tourism in 2020, it was number 43 out of 99, which is not bad for such a small country.
Oh, wow, wonderful. I didn't know that before today. So it's a great statistics to have. And so Jordan gives you it's a beautiful country. We've got so much of...
You've been there. Yes.
I've been to Jordan and I've been lucky to visit Dead Sea and see the iconic properties there. Not to Kempinski, but I've seen the beauty of what exists there in Dead Sea. And that's where I think sustainability comes quite naturally to you, because you've got the ecosystem and you've actually got natural and the capital to be doing things. So with Kempinski, how is sustainability championed? Like, what are the brand pillars for sustainability under Kempinski?
I think at Kempinski, and like many other hotel company, but I think at Kempinski, we also recognize that the travel industry needs to do more when it comes to reducing its impact on climate change. So to highlight our sustainability effort and achievements, as well as the area for improvement, we have published in 2021 our first Kempinski Environmental, Social and Governance report. Kempinski has a long history. We did quite a lot collaborating with partner and organization in order to already do more for the local community. But now it was time for us to create a sustainability committee, which has been done in 2021. And this is allowing us to intensify our efforts and implement a comprehensive sustainability policy across the entire company.
Right. And is that at the corporate level or is that at your hotel? So is the committee, where is the committee based?
The committee is based out of Geneva. So it's definitely at the corporate level, but we base ourselves very much also on local initiatives. So of course, you dealt with a lot of GM in your career. Sometimes you have to impose things on those guys to make sure that definitely it's being done. So yes, I have to say the voice is coming initially from Geneva, but there's a lot of corporate initiatives which are afterwards shared as best practices, spread all over the company, and then implemented in other properties.
Correct. And do you have a sustainability person in the team? Like, how do you get that actioned at the hotel?
So at the hotel team, we created a sustainability committee. So it's not a single person. Of course, one person is more like the head of the committee, but on a monthly basis, we have the sustainability committee gathering together. So you have the director of engineering who has a major impact. The GM is chairing the committee. You have the hotel manager. So a group of 10 to 11 individuals whose main focus is to see how we can be more sustainable at the property in Jordan and in Middle East and Africa.
Right. And the committee meets how often? Tell me some of the achievements of the committee in the last 1 year, Sebastien.
Once a month, definitely the committee is meeting. And I have to say that Kempinski Dead Sea has achieved quite an important certification over the last few months, over the last few years, in order to be more sustainable and a responsible hotel in the area. We have met all the requirements from the EarthCheck Association, and I'm very happy to tell you that we have the silver certification since already last year. We will have another audit coming in the upcoming few weeks, and definitely we aim at having the gold certification in the upcoming 3 years. So this company is helping the team to understand what is sustainability. And as you know, sustainability is not only sorting the garbage at the end of the day. There's much more than that behind sustainability. But because it was new for the team, then definitely we had to do a lot of training. We had definitely helped them to take initiative in order to be more sustainable and to understand, as I said, that this is a philosophy, that this is a behavior they need to have on a daily basis and not only on the committees gathering.
Also, EarthCheck is how you're certified by, which is the case for many green collection hotels, right?
Yeah. EarthCheck certification is definitely the one we are using. So they come once a year, they do a full audit of your property. So in terms of best practices, in terms of waste management, in terms of electricity consumption. And what I like with EarthCheck and their certification process is that even if you got it last year, in order to get it the following year, you have to prove them that definitely you implemented the recommendation from the previous year and that definitely it has turned into an improvement on various metrics, on various KPIs from 1 year to the other. So this is a continued process. It's not I give you the silver certification and then you're okay for the next 10 years, like we give sometimes 5-star to a hotel for the next 20 years. They have the 5-star, even if the property is not well taken care of, you keep your 5-star for life. With the silver certification, they give you the EarthCheck certification. They come the following year, definitely they will challenge you. What have you done since last year? What did you improve? Why are you more sustainable in 2024 than you were in 2023? And there is a risk of failing. If definitely there is a statu quo, you don't do anything new, you don't do anything more. So you have to challenge yourself, you have to challenge your team on a regular basis to make sure that from 1 year to the other, you do more when it comes to sustainability.
How has the process been for you? I think I asked this question to Elena too, and I'm curious to hear your answer. Level of 0 to 5, 0 being really easy and 5 being extremely difficult, the entire certification process. How would you describe your journey?
I think it was definitely a 4, if not a 5. I'm not saying that, okay, I would be manager hotel in Dubai and I opened a couple of properties over there. Sustainability is in the mind of the local authorities. It's in the mind of the people. It's a day-to-day behavior and you have access to facilities that definitely we don't have in Jordan. So luckily here over the last few years, I have to say that the government did a lot to change the mentality of people. But there's still a lot of facilities that are not existing in Jordan. I'm giving you an example. We are planning now to replace the plastic bottle in the room as well. But it's very difficult to find a company who can supply you with glass bottle and can refill them on a regular basis. While I would be in Dubai, even the taxi driver will give you like a bottle of water, which is in a glass bottle, and definitely it would be properly recycled. Very difficult to find plastic bottle in Dubai nowadays. But in Jordan, this is a kind of facilities that we are still missing. Waste management is the same. When you are in a very well-developed city, waste management is something that people do on a day-to-day basis. In Jordan, I have to say it's still new over the last few years. So a lot of things that we did implement, which have been extremely difficult to implement in this hotel, extremely difficult to implement in this country. But I think the trend is very positive, and we are now sharing the best practices of this hotel with our neighbors, with our competition. And I have to say, whether it is the neighboring properties at the Dead Sea or properties in Aqaba, properties in Amman, we start to meet on a regular basis to see what altogether we can do in order to get the things moving further.
That's brilliant. That's amazing where competition is not seen and you're coming together collaboratively to do things for the people, for the environment.
Every company is definitely now focusing on sustainability, but definitely sharing best practices, saying what Marriott is doing, saying what Kempinski is doing, saying what Accor is doing, and saying, okay, what you do is very good. Let me implement it at my hotel level. And then they are taking best practices from my property that they will definitely implement in their own property, because those best practices are based on what the country is able to do on the local community. And the local community in Dubai is not the same as the local community in Jordan. So I think it's very important that we have this sustainability philosophy properly implemented at the local level with the key partners who are dealing in the area.
Yeah, sustainability is very contextual, and I think you've said that very nicely. But to do the collaboration, to bring you all together, how did this naturally happen?
I think, GM in this country are meeting on a regular basis because we are facing the same issue. So I think it's good to meet on a regular basis and to exchange about best practices, to exchange about the challenge we face with the business, with the tourism in Jordan in general. And there was issues and things are getting better. But definitely, I think it's sustainability is contagious. I think as a GM, if you see what your neighbors is doing and you say, wow, this is definitely, I think everyone now has sustainability in his mind, but sometimes we say, well, it's too difficult in this country to have it properly implemented. But when you see what the neighbor is doing and you say, listen, this is very smart, this is very clever. I didn't know that we could do that here. And then definitely he will copy. And there's no problem to get copied. Better to get copied than to copy others. So definitely this is why we share those best practices and we make sure that the neighbor is, now we are discussing together with surrounding properties how we can build a bottling unit, to get an entity in order to get water from a natural source here in Jordan and to put it in proper glass bottle in order to make sure that we will not only deliver a glass bottle to Kempinski Dead Sea, but it's going to be done with the neighboring properties. And I think the more we are, the easier it's going to be.
I hear a great startup opportunity for a lot of SMEs trying to expand into Middle East, right? It just seems like you have a wonderful business case there and an impact case with what you're saying.
Definitely. After I have to say also that at the hotel level, we are very much supported by the owning company, and I think it does count a lot. The owner is also very much into sustainability. Over the last 3 years, we were able together with them to build a photovoltaic plant in the mountain of Karak, so not far from the hotel. So the photovoltaic plant is connected to the grid of the country and supply 80% of the need of the hotel. So definitely it's a very clean energy. 80% of our electricity needs are supplied by the photovoltaic plant that we have further in the south of Jordan.
It's wonderful. I didn't know that before I came in, and I don't think it's published on any social media, is it?
We did communicate on it, but because it's connected to the grid and people do not understand that in fact it's supplying the hotel. So of course I don't have the photovoltaic plant neighboring my property, but definitely the investment has been done by the owning company, and the supply that definitely they connect to the grid cover 80% of our needs. So definitely we know that 80% of my energy is green energy.
You spoke about waste. You spoke about energy. Tell me a bit more about what do you do in terms of getting the community together? How do you champion for employment, the social element of ESG? So environmental social governance is sustainability, right? I'm just curious to hear on the S because
Right.
you have an opportunity.
The location of Kempinski Hotel Ishtar Dead Sea, we are by the Dead Sea, so in an area called S1E. S1E is not the richest part of Jordan. And then as soon as definitely we opened this property 17, 18 years ago, then definitely we felt the need. Of course, we are here to support the local community. So of course, we started with quite a few expats, and definitely we employed from the local community. But now I'm very happy to say that 90% of the staff is coming from the surrounding area. we have only 10% of expat, because I think it's also very good when you deal in the luxury business to have a cosmopolitan environment, and you have a chef coming from Italy, and you have a spa director coming from Thailand, and you have a director of engineering who is from Jordan, but 90% of the staff is coming from the local community. To be honest with you, I'll give you a very good example, which for me means a lot. When I was here in 2014, we had 60 staff in housekeeping. 58 of them were coming from the Philippines. And definitely after 6-7 years, we have 2 people coming from the Philippines. And now we have 58 employees from Sweme, Jordanian, from the local community, who have been trained over the years. So they came out of school, they have been trained as an housekeeping agent, they became housekeeping supervisor. For some of them, they became housekeeping manager. And today I have to say, we know that thanks to this, we are helping the local community to develop further.
That's a number very different to Dubai. We definitely don't see here the high 90% of local population working in any of the businesses, leave alone hotels. So I think that's very unique to Jordan and what you have.
Yeah, and I think we are quite proud about it. And it's always good when you also meet with the family of your employees to see that in their eyes you're not only the employer, but definitely you're the one feeding the entire family. Because in Jordan we still have very big families. So if you have 2 or 3 people of the same family working in the hotel, that definitely you will support an entire family much bigger than the 2 or 3 employees you have in your property.
That's true. And talking about localization and talking about how you've integrated into the local market there, with regards to food, how much of food are you able to get from local farms there?
In fact, we try to get as much as we can. So I'm not telling you, because it would not be true, that we get everything, locally supplied, as people say, from farm to table. It's true for vegetables. It would be true for the fruits. If I need to buy lamb, if I need to buy chicken, I will find this in Jordan. But if I have to supply a certain kind of meat or fish, for this, definitely I will have to import. Today, we consider that roughly 80% of the food that definitely we produce is definitely coming from the local community, either from Amman or from the local farm. And for us, we are really proud to share that with our customers. So when we have customers coming from Europe, coming from the US, coming from other parts of the world, we want to make sure that they see on the menu that most of the ingredients of that specific dish are coming from the local community.
If you were to advise hotels starting out, like you're an experienced general manager, you've got decades of experience in doing operations, now sustainability really well. What advice would you give for other hoteliers who are trying to be more sustainable?
First, I have to say, don't take it as a constraint, or don't take it as something which is mandatory because the corporate office told you to do so. And if you change this way of thinking, you will see that you will come up with thousands of ideas on how to improve sustainability in your hotel. But I think now, this is a case of the new generation of GM, and I think I'm part of this still, but definitely sustainability is in our everyday life. So definitely my kids coming back from school tells me about sustainability. He's learning about sustainability when he has geography classes, and definitely this is an everyday thing. So my advice on GM starting in this career, starting in this industry, it's definitely don't wait for the message to come from the regional or the corporate office. Be at the initiative of those sustainability ideas. Be an incubator for good ideas on what you can do in your property, and share them with your colleagues. Share it with your regional office. Share it with your corporate office and tell them, I'm really proud to tell you what I did in my hotel. And definitely, please share it with my colleagues. Those are best practices that we can develop throughout the company. So once again, don't take it as a constraint. On the contrary, take it as an opportunity for you to shine as a GM by coming up with new ideas.
Very valid advice, I must tell you. And also, when I speak to a lot of general managers, I hear 2 things. And I'm curious to hear your advice on how to overcome both. One, I'm always told GM is in the middle of owners and the corporate office. My corporate office wants me to do something, or I want to do something, but I don't get budgets approved from owners. And second, we also hear a lot that sustainability is expensive. Like, year on year, you ask me to be reducing, and that means I need to make more investments and capital investments. We don't have enough. It's expensive. I think both are related in a way. So what advice would you give to someone who it feels limited or in center between owner and corporate?
I mean, of course, getting the support of your owner is definitely important. If your owner is supportive, it will make your task much easier. And in my case, most of the owners I'm dealing with, I have to say, are very well aware of sustainability and understand that this is a requirement. This is something that definitely we have to implement in our hotels. But I have to say that on the long term, if you think from an economical point of view, this is also in the mind of customers. I mean, I look at most of the guests I had to welcome in this property over the last 2 to 3 years. They were questioning us on some, I would not say malpractice, but definitely giving us ideas on how we could improve on sustainability, which means it's really into the mind of customers. And I think now with the new generation, they will choose their hotel, they will choose their destination also based on their sustainability best practices. So I think from an economical point of view, it does also make sense on the long term. I think this is like, we were discussing about the hotels in the 1920s, having a TV or having a telephone was definitely like very luxurious. Now it's a given. I think sustainability should be a given. It's not something that definitely you have to do to go the extra mile. Sustainability is a given. This is something which is expected by guests, something which is expected by the staff, and hopefully expected by your company and by your owner.
That's very well put again. Thank you for that golden advice. I think sustainability should be given, and every job role should have sustainability. And that's wonderful the way you've put it. And with that, I just want to ask, as you've clearly explained to us so far how sustainability should be ingrained, you've done certification, which leads me to the next question of what economic benefits or commercial value have you seen from getting certification, from putting investments and time behind improving the sustainability of Kempinski at Jordan?
We saw an improvement on certain market segment for who it's extremely important. And I will give you an example. When it comes to the mice business, we developed what I would call sustainable meeting and events. And I think this is for now, mainly for business coming from the US and coming from Europe, it's definitely an added value that they also use to communicate to their delegates that definitely this is a sustainable meeting and event that will take place at the Dead Sea. So definitely we got some businesses because of this approach. But I think at the end, even if it's important, I think this is not the most important. I think sustainability has definitely economical benefits, but at the end, I don't think this is the most important. I think, yes, it's important that definitely we see more business coming to us because of that. But I think this is also the responsibility of the company, the responsibility of the hotel to be sustainable, whether it is about waste management, energy saving, or more important to my heart is giving back to the local community.
You're right. And I actually remember reading something about your giving back too. Could you talk about that? Because I think you had worked with an orphanage or as part of your CSR activities, right? Which I thought was the impact you had. It was wonderful to read that.
So in fact, there's two big projects that we are managing specifically here at the local with the local community. We are dealing with the King Hussein Cancer Foundation, which is based in Amman. So we propose to all the guests when they check out to give an additional 1 JD, 2 JD, 10 JD up to them in order for this to be sent to the King Hussein Cancer Foundation. And they do provide financial support to people who cannot afford the cancer treatment. So this is clearly explained at the reception. And I have to say, I don't want to communicate on the amount over the last few years, but I think since we started, the amount that we shared with them is quite substantial. The other thing we do, which is also very close to my heart, we are looking after an orphanage. I mean, I think they have now close to 100 kids. So we are not doing one go when it's Christmas or when it's Eid, and definitely we do something once a year. No, we deal with them on the long run. So the kids are coming on a regular basis to the hotel. Sometimes we give them access to the facilities, or we will organize a tea time, or we will organize an afternoon with them either at the orphanage or within the hotel. And we are also helping them for their daily preventive maintenance. So the director of engineering is going there with his team on a regular basis, taking care of the maintenance. So the cost is rather limited for the hotel, but definitely for them, it means a lot.
Seriously, wonderful to hear. The fact that you have both of them going, one with the local organization quite close, and also with what you're able to do with in terms of get money from the guest. I mean, one Jordanian dirham per every guest staying, is that how it works, or per night?
No, this is, we tell them upon checkout to give 1 JD per stay. Of course, very often, and when you don't impose the amount and you tell them, listen, would you like to contribute an extra 1 JD on your bill in order to support the King Hussein Cancer Foundation? Most of the time, people will give more and sometimes much more. So the 1 JD is to say to the guests, we don't impose anything on you, but definitely this is a program we are being part of. But I can tell you that rarely people give only 1 JD. Rarely people don't give anything, and rarely people don't give only 1 JD. So we are also training the team on explaining about the King Hussein Cancer Foundation to the guests, not for them to say, okay, we take the 1 JD and you will not see the color of it. No, there is definitely information about what we do, what this money has been used for over the last few years, because this is a long-term project. So when people understand, immediately they want to contribute and they want to be part of it.
Wonderful. I've heard so much today in terms of your environmental, social, everything what you're doing to champion sustainability. And as you look into the future, which I'm sure you do a lot of, what trends do you see coming, or where do you think the sustainable hospitality industry in Middle East is looking towards?
I think it's going to become more and more important. And I think today countries are sometimes much more advanced than others. And I think when you take a country like Jordan, which has so many other things to look after, whether it is the refugee coming from the north or definitely the current economical situation because of the Gaza crisis, then definitely sustainability needs to remain in the mind of everyone. And I'm confident that in the mind of His Majesty, the King of Jordan, sustainability is very important and is a driving force behind sustainability in the country. So I'm very confident that today, what we see happening in Jordan over the last few years is only a step. And definitely a lot of things will happen over the next few years in order for this country to be even more sustainable. I mean, tourism is one of the major resources of this country, and we know to attract more people coming to Jordan, sustainability is again a must and not an option.
I think you've given us real nuggets in the entire interview, Sebastien. So any leaving message before we close the episode, or anything that you want to share that I have missed asking you?
No, I think the message is the one I told you earlier. I think for all my colleagues and friends hoteliers, don't see it as a constraint. On the contrary, see it as, yes, this is a given, and come up with ideas and initiatives on how we can develop further sustainability in our respective properties.
Right. And any personal message for how are you championing sustainability in your life?
In my life, I have to say that the next generation coming after me is the one pushing for sustainability. And sometimes it's good to have your son telling you, listen, why are you not sorting today? You know, this is very bad. And I think this is the key, and this is a message of hope for the future, that definitely now the next generation is much more conscious about sustainability than we were at their own age. So I think, yes, the future looks brighter because definitely they are the one pushing us to do more.
It is. We borrow it from them. It said it's a planet that we borrow from them. And if you put that into context, I think we have to be responsible. So wonderful to have that little pushes from all around us. We need that. Our generation needs that. So we improve. So wonderful to have you with me on the podcast. And it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks a lot, Radhika. It was a pleasure speaking to you and speaking about sustainability. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.